We're talking about paint today.
Paint. It's something that we use as crafters every day. I do.
When we first mention the word paint, you think of grabbing just a paintbrush and your acrylic paints and painting boxes and
anything.
What other traditional painting is there? Maybe on a canvas. But we have some unusual ways to use paint today, and that really wasn't the initial intent of this show. I just said, let's do a paint show, and we all came up with different ways to use paint.
And mine's really a technique that you can use on so many different things.
We're going to ask Heidi to demo her painting on tissue, but I see you have some examples here.
Well, there's so many different colors that you can use in your paint. I mean, you can use your whole palette of every color you have. I mean, I have probably 100 colors of paint in my studio, so all the different ones. But it's lots of fun to do all kinds of different ones. Make a whole bunch of them up, and then you can have them ready for any time that you're going to collage, mix media, do scrapbooking. You can use them for anything.
Well, let's go ahead and watch you demo.
Okay. Here's our box, and I have some feet for it. And I am just using the cap off of the glue bottles. You know, how many of these do you have that you never use after you have an empty bottle? So save them because they make fabulous feet. So we're going to glue these onto the bottom of the box before we get started on painting our paper so these can dry. And I'm using the thick, super thick tacky glue to put them on to the bottom. And we're just going to glue them on. Remember that the glue dries clear. I love the look of these. And make sure they're evenly placed. Last one. Like so. Now I'm going to set this aside to dry, and then I'm going to paint it. But while that's drying and I get it painted, I'm going to show you how to paint. It's time to paint our tissue paper, and this is such a great technique. You simply have wax paper and pieces of just white tissue paper, and I sandwich them in between. I layer up a whole bunch of them so that I can do a bunch at a time, you know, one at a time, but then I can pull it off and do the next one. Now, you are not limited to doing just tissue paper. I like tissue paper because it's kind of got a see-through look when it's painted. You can do the brown paper. I'm going to show you that in a minute. You can do scrapbooking paper. You can do that wonderful packing paper that's kind of a bleached paper. Any paper will work. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put on a dimensional paint. And I usually like the pearl, but today I'm using slick. And this is just the tulip. This is going to act as a resist. So tap it down, and I'm going to just do some swirlies here. And all this is done while the paint is wet. So you want to be kind of quick, but you know, and put enough on that it's not going to dry out. But you can't leave the room when you have this on and go to do something else before you put the other paint on. We can do like a heart here. And you can always do little like squigglies. You can do dots. And next thing we're going to do is put some color. Let's put on some blue. And you just kind of just put a little bit here and there, not a lot. And I usually use 3-4 colors, a little bit here and there. Let's put a purple on. Remember, it has to be wet. Now here comes the fun. Now take one of your used gift cards or one of the cards that comes in the mail, and it's sturdy, or use cardboard, and this is going to be your squeegee. Now you're going to keep it at an angle. See how I have it at an angle? And you're going to squeegee it across. But while I'm squeegeeing it, I'm taking my cardboard or my squeegee and I'm moving it. So here we go on the first line. Isn't that the coolest? It's just like magic. I just love this. I love this technique. Now, if you have the extra paint down here, that's okay. We're going to use that for something else. Go to the next line, and it kind of overlaps the other line. And the last line on this particular piece. And there's our squiggly and the rest of our heart. And you have wonderful painted tissue. Now we go to the next one and just put that somewhere to dry. Let's just do a different color. Let's have some fun here. How about some, well, let's get our white back again, and let's just do some squigglies. And again, you can use any color for your dimensional paint. I prefer the white on this particular project. But you could use metallic, you could use glitter. Any of it acts as a resist. In fact, I also was playing the other day with the Aleene's clear gel glue, and it works perfectly as a resist too. So we're going to use some red here. And you can use any kind of, these are all just acrylic paints, use any kind. And let's get a little bit of black. And how about a little bit of cream? And a little bit of gold. Again, we're going to have this at an angle. And keep it moving. And there's the magic. Keep that excess paint at the end. And the magic of paint. Paint it on tissue paper. Let me put this on the floor over here. And I wanted to, before we get to collaging, because we're going to run out of time, I wanted to do even some of the brown paper to show you really quick how that works. Like I said, you can use any paper. I've found they all work. And the dimensional paint is working as a resist. And I also found you can do, sometimes you can do letters. Everybody wants to do their name and things like that. They don't always keep the letters like you might want them, but it does work. And a little bit of black. And we'll go over, wipe off my squeegee. And this is brown paper. See, it works the same way. So for any mixed media projects or even scrapbooking, you can create your own beautiful artwork. See how it went through my name? And also another hint is don't go back through. If you go back through, you lose it. See, that next color covers it all up. So once you stroke over it, just leave it that way. You can always use bits and pieces of this. So I'm going to clean up my space, and I'll be right back and show you what to do with this fabulous paper. Here's a piece of the tissue paper that I did earlier, and it just peels right off the wax paper. And it's all dry. And then remember how we had that excess paint after we squeegeed. I had the excess paint. Well, if you take that and pull that off, it depends how thick it is. You could also use it, you could just tear this up and use this for collage. But when you have these paint pieces, you can actually put them through paper punch or this, like a Sizzix machine, and you can cut them into different shapes, and they work wonderful for an added dimension for some of your mixed media pieces. So that's just a little hint from Heidi. Now let's get to collaging our box. I've got it all painted, and there's our feet that we did earlier. And we're going to collage the top first. So I'm going to put some of the, this is the Aleene's Collage Page. Put some of that, and I'm just using the matte color today, or the matte finish today, and a brush. And what I always do is I like to put it underneath, brush it on, and I'm only going to put a piece on top. I've got a piece cut here, so I want it underneath completely, and try not to get too many globs of it. Just smooth it out, go all to the edges, make sure that you have it completely covered, and then you're going to put it on the back of the paper. Again, going fairly quickly so that you don't let the top dry out. And then you're going to put it onto the box. So remember, we have a coat on the box, we have a coat on the back of the paper. We're going to lay it in and tap it down, make sure there's no air bubbles. If it's going over the edge and you don't want it to, you still have time to keep it within the box top, and then you're going to put a coat over the top. So it's actually 3 different coats that you need when you do the collage page or the collaging. So there's our top. When it dries, it'll be completely clear. And then we would go on to do the sides, and what I did was I cut out a piece that would go over the sides. So you would put, again, you'd put it underneath on the box, you'd put it on the paper, and then put it into it and then over it, and you'd have your box. Now let's take a look at the finished one and bring it up here closer. Here's the box. The paper's all around the sides. There's my, and I left this one for you to see just the paper, but I love to layer more and more things on it. So I even did like a little saying, as long as there are bluebirds, there will be miracles and a way to find happiness. So I just did some extra things on it, and I would love to even add more and more to it to kind of make it more mixed media. I wanted to show you what it looked like with just the paper on it. And then also I have a bird. And I took this paper, I took some of the paper that I had painted, some of this, and I put it through my shredder machine. And that's how I did the nest, and added a few little gold tinsel. And there I have my box. Isn't that cool? So much fun. And look at the wonderful paint. Paint on paper. Thanks, everyone.